Hey, what's up, y'all? Hold on. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Taurea Vision Avant, and we've got another book review. Yeah. So let's get started. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Taurea Vision Avant. I am so excited to have you guys here for another book review. Basically, what I do is if you are an author, I actually am in this space where I help business owners to write books that are designed to grow their businesses. If you're already an author and you would like for me to do a free review, all you need to do, guys, is go ahead and send your book to this address below. Okay, it's in the comment space down below. You want to send it down below. Send your book to me and I will open it up and review it. All right. So hey, CEOs, make sure that before this video is done that you guys go over here and click on this subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And then you also want to click on this bell so that you can be notified for any new videos that are coming your way. Let's get back to the video. Today, I'm reviewing a book that I actually already reviewed, and I was doing it on a live broadcast, trying to utilize this tool that allows you to broadcast all over. And unfortunately, when I went back to look at the video, it was looking real funky. So I was like, I have to do justice to this sister because she done wrote this book, honey, and spent all this time. And so I want to make sure that, she, just in case she wasn't able to see the live, which I don't even know how the live looked. But either way, I wanted to make sure that she was able to get the good notes. All right, so I have some notes over here. Y'all just ignore my little notes. But I want to talk to you guys about this book. So the book is by Dr. Tasha Ellis. And so this is her book right here. And hopefully you guys can see it. Let me try to make sure the shine is not on it. Okay. And so this book is titled #Enough, illustrated by Russell Wayne. So the first thing that I want to give you guys as a tip, okay, is when it comes to your book, the first thing that most people look at is they're not really looking at the images. They're looking at the promise, especially if this is a book on self-help. Now, I'm not really sure if this is a self-help book or if this is just a story book, but if it is a self-help book, typically the reason why somebody picks up a book is because they're looking to solve a challenge. So when I look at #Enough, the title is great. I love it. However, the question is enough of what? So I would possibly add in a subtitle telling the reader the story of how whatever overcame bullying, or the story of how the name of the character was able to get focused in school or something like that. And then you can add that maybe somewhere right here below, but you definitely want to make sure that as soon as they look at this cover, they know exactly what this book is about. Now, another thing is these illustrations are awesome. Congratulations on getting an illustrator to actually do your book. However, I do notice that it is just a little pixelated. And so I want to encourage you, sis, is if you can get back to that illustrator and see if he can get you the images in 300 DPI. It is called 300 DPI. You really can't see too much on the video itself, but when I'm looking at it, it does look a little fuzzy. And so you want to try to get these images as crispy as possible. Now, this could be a contribution contributed to whoever is printing the book as well, because I don't know who printed the book, or it could be that the pixelation of your image needs to be a little bit higher. So we need it to be 300 or the best, highest that you could get it, right? But definitely at least 300 DPI to try to make this image just a little bit more crispier. Now, when somebody looks at a book, they first look at the title and then they flip it over to the back. All right, so I'm gonna flip it over to the back, and I see that this is published by Christian Faith Publishing. I would also say that you should price your book at $20, $19.95. I see a lot of times, and especially for all of my self-published authors, guys, I don't care how thick a book is, and yes, this is a thin book. I don't care how thick it is. I always charge $20 for my books, and the reason is because, first of all, even listing it for $19.95, because if you're going to be doing workshops and events and things like that, when somebody flips it over and sees it's $12.95, you still want to charge $20, right? So you want to list it at $19.95. Guys, another thing is a lot of times people get hung up on how long should my book be. That's not what determines its value, how long a book is, right? What determines its value is how valuable the information is. So don't get caught up on trying to figure it out. But what I would say is I definitely would list the price of it at $19.95. or you know, $19.99. Always list my books for $20. All right. The next thing is on this back cover. I see we have an image again. It's the same image as we have on the front. Now, with it being kind of faded out, that's fine. Not sure if it's even necessarily needed. One thing I will say is, who is the reader? So I do want to know, what is the target age of the reader? Because if the target age of the reader is a child, let's just say, I mean, these kids look to be maybe, so if it is an elementary or middle school reader, the font on the back cover is a little bit small. Now, granted, yes, I mean, textbooks and school books sometimes maybe have font like this, but you want to make sure it is a bigger font. The other thing that I typically recommend for back covers of the book is I recommend that you should have something really short explaining to people what the book is about, but also have like qualifier questions. So for my self-help books, I may start off with are you tired of being tired? You know, do you feel like you're not getting respect? Are you overworked and underpaid? So maybe even a book like this, you know, do you get bullied at school? Or do you know bullies, or would you like bullying to stop at school? I don't know if that's what the book is about, but I'm just giving you some examples. So I like to give qualifier questions, because when somebody's like, yes, 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 then they're like, I need a bye, right? And so I like to break it down into some qualifier questions, and then I have a brief breakdown of what the book is about, because most people, because most people, they just, want to be able to find out really quickly in a matter of seconds, what is this book about and how is this book going to help me? And then of course, we need to know a little bit about the author. And so I would even recommend having, and not all books do this, but I think it's important, especially if this is something where you are wanting to be able to maybe speak at schools, etc., etc. You may want to have like just a small bio about yourself. You don't need to have the picture, but the bio needs to be in alignment with what the book is about. Here is another big tip for all of my authors. You should always have some source of contact here, a website, social media, something on your cover. And the reason being is because sometimes your cover may just be kind of sitting around on someone's table, right? They may not read the book, but they look at the cover and then they look at the back and then they see the website. I typically create a website for every one of my books. So I buy a domain for every one of the 15 plus books I've ever written. I always bought a domain so that I can send people to that, or even if it just redirects them to the page of my full page, like it might be the store, but the page of that book on my store. I always like to have some source of contact information on the cover, because everybody may not be able to flip through and read the book. Okay, now I'm assuming that your about the author is in the back. Yes, it is. So you don't have your picture, which is not always needed, but this about the author is great. Now, just flipping through the book, another thing that I've noticed, first of all, these illustrations are amazing. Congratulations on, again, this just incredible, all these illustrations and stuff like that. One thing I will say, when I'm looking at this, again, I don't necessarily know who the reader is. So is the reader an adult, maybe reading to children, or is the reader the kids? Because with that stated, the font, again, is kind of mature. It's a mature font. If you guys see, you see, it's a little mature. And so for me, with a child's book, I probably would increase the size. And another thing that I would do in some of the areas, like for example, right here, you see where it is in front of an image and stuff like that. Glad my nails are done. They're decently done, right? But right here where it's in front of this image, or even this right here, it may not stand out as much. So I may add like some kind of a square background right here that just goes behind, in front of the font, like a square white background that's a little transparent, but so that the font is able to pop out a little bit more. Maybe if this is for children, I would increase the size of the font as well. And then another thing is also, if I'm just looking at the words, again, this just goes back to me figuring out who is the reader. So if these are more so for elementary kids, some of the verbiage, the words are a little bit more mature. So I'm assuming this must be for maybe middle school or something like that. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's another important thing that we would want to figure out. See, this right here is pretty cool. And even if maybe you did something where you had a picture and then you had the words on the other side, and then a picture and then the words on the other side, and this would actually, of course, increase the number of pages, but it would allow it to be for an easier read. So again, I haven't read through this entire book, but this is an at a glance type of situation. Another thing is, if you are going to list any kind of domains, okay, so one thing I always encourage all of my authors is to never list a domain that you do not own. So for example, with the exception of like social media, but even with that, I'm trying to now not even put like, for example, facebook.com/Vision Avant. I like to say, contact me on all social media platforms, Vision Avant, right? Because I try to use the same thing, because the thing about this is this book is going to be around forever, 5, 10, 20 years, right? And let's just say, for example, Amazon changes its links for how you purchase the books, because you don't own that Amazon link. Now you can list your stuff in the Amazon store, but you don't own the link. And so if they happen to change it from amazon.com/books/ your name / the name of the book, and then they decide, you know, we're just going to change it to amazon.com/books/ genre / name. Now you've got this domain that you put in your book for amazon.com of the original, and now it's no longer valid. So I never like to list any links that I don't own. Even if I'm making a recommendation of another company's product or service in my book, I always redirect the reader to a domain that I own. So even if the domain is like enoughbook.com, and then when they go there, maybe it has the links of all the different places where you can purchase the book or the recommendations, etc. At least I know that I will always be in control of the content that goes on that domain because I purchased it. So very important when we do that, but make sure, guys, you know, and this is the thing, and if you've already done it, the great thing is if you are self-published, you can go and make all those updates yourself. If you did go through a publisher, then you might have to go through them, but you know, that is how it works. If you are interested again in me reviewing your book on our channel, then all I need you to do again is to send your book to the address below. Now, if you are interested, darling, in writing your own book for your business, again, I specialize in helping you to write books designed to grow your business. So if you're selling a product, if you're selling a service, if you're a coach, a speaker, and you want to add multiple streams of income to your business, being an author can help you to do that. And I actually have a free webinar that you can register for, darling, and the link to the webinar is abookin30days.com. So you can go register for that webinar, darling, and see all that information. And then if you decide you want to work more with us one-on-one, I give you instructions of how you can schedule an opportunity to speak with me on the phone. All right. So with that said, darling, it is it. I am done. Holla at your girl, and I'll see you on the next review. Deuces.